Bangkok, 2022. A software engineer with a master's degree in computer science places food offerings outside her apartment every night. Not for religious merit, to prevent attacks from Krasue, a ghost that hunts as a flying severed head trailing glowing intestines. Why do educated professionals in one of Asia's most modern cities still fear supernatural spirits? This question reveals something fundamental about how human minds actually work, and why rational thought doesn't replace belief the way we assume it should. This isn't just about Thai superstition. It's about universal patterns in human cognition, the mental processes our brains use to understand the world. Understanding why Krasue survives tells us something profound about belief itself. The Krasue, from the ancient Khmer word meaning glowing light, represents one of Thailand's most persistent supernatural beliefs. The image is striking: a woman's severed head floating pre-darkness, internal organs trailing below and glowing greenish, hunting for blood or filth. Thailand has a literacy rate above 95%, with world-class universities producing engineers and scientists working at technology's cutting edge. Yet Krasue persists, not just in rural villages, but in modern cities among educated professionals. A 2019 Chulalongkorn University survey found that 38% of urban residents under 40 believe Krasue could be real. That's not ignorance, it's something more interesting. To understand why this belief survives, we need to understand what Krasue actually is within Thai culture. Written records first mention Krasue in the late Ayutthaya period, roughly the 1600s to 1700s, though oral traditions suggest much older origins. The legend follows a consistent pattern. A woman commits moral violation, adultery, practicing dark magic, or breaking cultural taboos. As punishment, she receives a curse that detaches her head from her body each night, trailing glowing organs behind her. She must hunt before dawn and return to her body before sunrise, or both parts die. The belief concentrates in central Thailand and Isan, the northeast region, but similar spirits appear across Southeast Asia. Cambodia has Op, Malaysia has Penanggalan, different names describing the same basic phenomenon: detached female heads with glowing organs hunting at night. Here's what matters: Krasue isn't separate from Thai religious life, it's deeply integrated. Thailand is 95% Buddhist, but Thai Buddhism merged centuries ago with animism, the belief that spirits inhabit natural places and objects. In this worldview, spirits called Pi, pronounced Pi, meaning ghost or spirit, exist everywhere, in rivers, trees, and land itself. Krasue fits as one type of Pi, specifically one created through karma. In Buddhist thought, karma, gum in Thai, meaning action consequence, states that deeds create results across lifetimes. Bad actions produce bad consequences, and Krasue represents visible karmic punishment, where internal corruption becomes externally visible. This matters because within Thai Buddhist animist thinking, Krasue makes perfect logical sense. Moral violation creates spiritual corruption manifests physically, and the community can see danger and protect itself. Understanding cultural logic, however, doesn't explain belief persistence in modern contexts, which brings us back to that Bangkok software engineer. Her name is Apinya, and she studied computer science at one of Thailand's top universities. She understands internet architecture, electrical flow, and chemical reactions that create light. She also leaves rice and fruit offerings outside her door every night, placing them carefully in spots where she won't accidentally step over them. Why? The offerings keep Krasue away by satisfying the spirit's hunger without inviting it inside, a precaution like locking doors or backing up files. She sees no contradiction between scientific understanding and spiritual practice. Science explains composition and mechanism. Belief explains meaning and purpose. She's not alone in this integration. In 2019, villagers in Nakhon Ratchasima province, about 250 kilometers northeast of Bangkok, reported strange greenish lights floating above rice fields at night, moving in seemingly deliberate patterns. Local news covered it, and Thai-language forums exploded with theories ranging from Krasue to methane gas to St. Elmo's fire, an atmospheric electrical phenomenon. The fascinating part? Many people held multiple explanations simultaneously. It could be natural gas and also Krasue, with no perceived contradiction. This is what we need to understand. Not whether Krasue is real, but why educated people maintain beliefs that appear to contradict scientific thinking, and why those contradictions don't feel contradictory to them. The answer reveals something fundamental about human cognition that extends far beyond Thailand or supernatural beliefs. The legend's details reveal its cultural function, and those details matter significantly. Krasue is always female, never male, and the curse specifically targets 3 types of women: those who commit adultery, those who practice dark magic or love spells, and in Isan beliefs, those who somehow contact or consume food touched by another Krasue. This last variation, appearing in Thai sources but rarely English translations, reveals specific local anxieties about contamination spreading through communities, not just individual moral failure. The punishment is precise and symbolic. The woman's head separates, taking glowing internal organs that force her to eat impure substances, blood, excrement, decay, degrading her to consuming what pure women reject. Her power requires extreme vulnerability. She must reunite with her body before dawn or die. Within the cultural framework, this creates perfect symmetry. Uncontrolled desire becomes uncontrollable hunger. Sexual transgression, understood as lost bodily control, results in literal bodily separation, and the woman gains supernatural power while losing humanity. Dr. Sunet Chutintaranand, a Thai anthropologist studying the legend in 2018, identified something English sources typically miss. Krasue represents cultural anxiety about female sexual power in patriarchal societies. Women exercising sexual autonomy, choosing partners, rejecting arranged marriages, practicing love magic, threatened social order. So the curse made that threat visible and controllable by transforming hidden desires into glowing monsters you could see and contain. This pattern repeats across cultures whenever societies feel threatened by female autonomy. Witches in Europe, sirens in Greece, succubi in medieval Christianity. Specific forms change. The function of transforming anxiety into controllable narrative remains constant. But understanding historical function doesn't explain current belief, especially among people who explicitly reject controlling or punishing women for sexual autonomy, which leads us to the psychological mechanisms at work. Human brains are pattern recognition machines, mental systems that constantly search for connections and meaning in what we observe. We evolved this way because pattern recognition kept us alive. Rustling grass might be wind or might be a predator, and our ancestors who assumed predator and were wrong wasted energy, while those who assumed wind and were wrong died. This mechanism doesn't deactivate in modern environments. We still see faces in clouds, hear voices in white noise, and interpret random events as meaningful patterns, not because we're broken, but because this feature occasionally misfires in contexts different from those where it evolved. Cultural frameworks shape what patterns we recognize. Growing up hearing about Krasue, your pattern recognition system knows what to look for when encountering strange lights, unexplained sounds, or missing livestock. These events happen naturally. Methane creates lights, animals make sounds, livestock wander. But the human mind doesn't experience them as random data points. The mind sees patterns, and culture provides interpretation. Those lights aren't just gas, they're Krasue. That sound isn't just wind, it's a hunting spirit. Crucially, belief doesn't replace scientific knowledge, it coexists alongside it. Research by Chulalongkorn University psychologists in 2020 interviewed 200 people in rural and urban areas about supernatural beliefs and found that most could accurately describe scientific explanations for phenomena like floating lights or sleep paralysis while maintaining supernatural interpretations anyway. Why? Because scientific explanations answer what, while supernatural explanations answer why. Methane gas explains what creates light, but not why it appeared here, tonight, in this specific field. Krasue explains that. Someone committed moral transgression, and the spirit warns the community. One explanation provides mechanism, the other provides meaning, and human beings need both. Another piece of this puzzle shows where modern psychology intersects with traditional belief in unexpected ways. Sleep paralysis is well documented. Your brain wakes before your body does, leaving you conscious and able to see and hear, but unable to move. The experience often includes chest pressure, breathing difficulty, and frequently a sense of presence watching or even sitting on you. This happens across all cultures, affecting about 8% of people at least once. A straightforward neurological glitch in the sleep-wake transition. Cultural interpretation, however, varies dramatically. In Thailand, experiencers often describe Krasue. The chest pressure is the spirit sitting on them. The presence is the spirit watching. In Japan, it's kanashibari, a spirit binding you. In medieval Europe, succubi or incubi. In Newfoundland, the old hag. Same physical experience, but different cultural frameworks produce different interpretations. A 2020 study by Dr. Pornpemal Kongsuk at Chulalongkorn Psychology Department examined Thai sleep paralysis reports and found that 67% of experiencers interpreted it supernaturally, even when they could describe neurological explanations. Their experiences matched cultural templates precisely. They sensed specifically Thai spirits like Krasue, not random monsters. This reveals something important. The experience is real, the terror genuine, and physical sensations match exactly what legends describe. From the experiencer's perspective, belief receives validation because experience is real. This explains why providing scientific information alone doesn't eliminate belief. Both the science and the experience are true, and they only conflict if you insist they must. Understanding how this works in practice reveals sophistication we typically underestimate. Apinya, that software engineer, doesn't believe Krasue exists like her laptop exists. She doesn't think literal flying heads with visible organs float around Bangkok. When pressed, she estimates maybe 30% certainty that Krasue could exist in some form. Maybe spirits exist, maybe not, but offerings cost nothing, provide peace of mind, and connect her to her grandmother's traditions. This is belief flexibility, a cognitive ability where you maintain multiple models simultaneously and use whichever fits the context. At work debugging software, Apinya uses the scientific model where code functions according to logical rules and electricity flows predictably. At home at night, especially hearing strange sounds, the Krasue model activates. Not because she abandons reason, but because humans use different mental frameworks for different situations. Consider how you use maps. You know Earth is spherical, but navigate using flat maps on your phone without thinking about distortion. You use the model that's useful for the task, which isn't inconsistency, but mental flexibility, what psychologists call cognitive compartmentalization, the ability to hold different frameworks for different contexts. Thai culture has practiced this integration for centuries. Buddhism provides philosophical framework. Animism provides practical framework. They coexist as people make merit at temples while maintaining spirit houses, meditate on impermanence while ensuring land spirits receive proper respect. Western observers sometimes call this contradictory, but it's only contradictory under single framework thinking. The 2019 Nakhon Ratchasima incident demonstrates this beautifully. When people reported field lights, local government sent investigation teams who tested for methane and documented atmospheric conditions, finding natural explanations for some lights but not all. Villagers appreciated scientific investigation while continuing to make offerings. Both things could be true simultaneously. We started asking why educated people fear flying ghost heads, but the question itself reveals our assumptions about how belief works. The answer isn't about Krasue specifically, it's about human cognitive architecture, the way our minds are fundamentally structured. We're not purely rational beings who occasionally lapse into superstition. We're pattern recognition machines using multiple frameworks to make sense of experience. Scientific thinking is one framework, supernatural belief another, and neither is more or less human. They're different tools for different purposes. Krasue persists because it serves functions science doesn't address, transforming anxiety into manageable narrative, creating community through shared understanding, providing meaning beyond mere mechanism, connecting modern urban ties to cultural history, and costing nothing to maintain alongside rational thinking. This isn't unique to Thailand. Every culture does this in different forms. Americans who understand statistics knock on wood. Japanese people working with advanced technology avoid the number 4 in buildings. Europeans who know physics follow horoscopes. We're all using multiple frameworks, being rational when useful and using belief when serving other needs. The real insight is that human cognition is flexible. We hold contradictory ideas simultaneously, not from confusion, but from sophistication. We understand that different contexts require different frameworks, and that's not a cognitive bug, but a feature that makes us adaptable and resilient. This pattern appears everywhere once you recognize it. Religion and science coexist in most minds without conflict. You can understand evolution while finding meaning in creation stories, know how love works neurologically while experiencing it as magical, understand grief as neurochemical process while finding value in ritual mourning. The Western Enlightenment tradition promised that rational thinking would replace supernatural belief, that education would eliminate superstition, that science would answer all worthwhile questions. That hasn't happened anywhere, including highly educated Western societies. Instead, we see integration. People learn scientific explanations, maintain cultural beliefs, and use both flexibly. Those who seem most at peace often don't see this as contradiction. They use whichever model fits the moment. Aphinya leaves offerings not despite her education, but as an expression of cognitive sophistication. She maintains heritage connection while succeeding in modern technological work, achieving something Western rationalism struggles with: integration without internal conflict. This is what Krasue teaches us, not whether spirits exist, but how humans make meaning. We need explanations providing both mechanism and purpose, and science and belief aren't opposites, but complementary ways of understanding experience. So why does Krasue hunt at night? According to legend, because the curse activates in darkness, the time of spirits, and she must feed before dawn. But the deeper answer is that asking this question reveals how we think about belief. We expect factual answers, as if Krasue were real in ways requiring scientific explanation. The more interesting question is why the belief hunts at night in modern minds, emerging when scientific frameworks fade, and why educated people maintain it despite knowing better, or rather, why we assume they should know better. Perhaps they do know better by understanding something we miss when insisting on single framework thinking. Human experience is richer than pure mechanism. Meaning matters as much as explanation. Identity and belonging have real psychological value. And tradition connects us across generations in ways serving important purposes. Krasue persists not as evidence of ignorance, but as evidence of integration. Minds holding multiple truths, cultures maintaining tradition while embracing modernity, people understanding that reducing everything to mechanism eliminates something essential. In rural Thailand, people still report strange lights, make offerings, and tell stories. In urban Bangkok, software engineers respect spirits while building technology shaping our modern world. That's not contradiction, that's sophisticated cognition. Human beings doing what we do best, making meaning from experience, using every available tool, refusing limitation to single frameworks. Krasue glows in darkness because we need things that glow in darkness, stories explaining more than mechanism, beliefs connecting us to each other and our past, frameworks letting us be fully human, rational and traditional, scientific and spiritual, modern and rooted. That's why Krasue hunts at night, and that's why she always will. The next time you encounter a belief that seems irrational, whether in your own culture or another, ask a different question. Not, is this true? But what human need does this serve? Not, why don't they know better? But what am I missing about how cognition actually works? We're all doing the same thing Opinia does, using multiple frameworks to navigate a complex world. The only difference is whether we recognize and accept our own cognitive flexibility or insist on an impossible purity of thought that humans have never achieved and never will.
And that's the end of another otherworldly story. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to not miss a thing. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and keep an eye on the shadows.